What is going on, everybody? Today I will be giving my pre-spring top 25 rankings. Spring ball is starting for a bunch of teams, so I wanted to evaluate a lot of the teams, and I wanted to rank the top 25 teams heading into spring football. But before we get into the video, let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel, because we upload daily college football content, and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider joining my Discord server down in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm going to start off at the bottom of my rankings, and at number 25 I have Texas A&M. I feel like Texas A&M has to sneak their way into that top 25 somehow. They were solid last season and they somehow always start their season off ranked. But I think Mike Elko was a good hire for Texas A&M, and I think this team will be decent next season, and they have the second best transfer portal group in the whole country. Connor Wigman could be very valuable at the quarterback position if he stays healthy. A majority of the teams in the top 25 will be from the Big Ten and the SEC, and I do have Texas A&M coming in at number 25, because I do think that this team is talented heading into next season. And at number 24, I have Washington, and maybe I shouldn't have them in the top 25, or maybe I have them too high. It's hard to say. But I do feel like they belong in the top 25 because this team did just play for a national championship last season. They lost every starter on offense, I know that, and they lost their head coach as well. So it is looking tough for them. But we'll see what Jetfish does in the spring transfer portal window. And we will see what Will Rogers does during spring football, because he will be the quarterback going forward for this team. I think they will be tough enough at the line of scrimmage to be in the top 25, so I have them at number 24. And at number 23, I have NC State. I like what this NC State team has with head coach Dave Doeren. This team is always winning 8+ games with Dave Doeren, and I think NC State will be good next season again despite some of the talent that they are losing. I like the pickup of Grayson McCall at quarterback, and the ACC is wide open, so keep an eye on NC State. At number 22, I have Kansas. Similar to NC State, I trust the head coach for Kansas. Kansas will also be returning one of the top quarterbacks of the Big 12, Jalen Daniels. And this could be a dark horse team to win the Big 12, because similar to the ACC, the Big 12 is just as wide open for anybody to win it. So I do have Kansas at number 22. At number 21, I have Louisville, and I'm probably not as high in Louisville as other people are, but they will definitely be ranked to start next season, no doubt about it. Jeff Brom continues to bring in a bunch of transfers, so we will see if Louisville can get themselves back in the ACC championship game in 2024, but I'm personally not too high on them. But I still do have them at 21 because I cannot realistically leave them off of this top 25 ranking. And at number 20, I have Miami. Miami should at least start next season ranked. I don't really have a doubt about that. But the question is, are they going to be able to live up to the hype? There's a bunch of talk about Mario Cristobal being a bad coach, and I understand that. But Miami has a realistic chance to have a good season in 2024 with all of the talent. And they have a win total of 9.5, so I'm not the only one that's really high on them. This could be the year that they put it together and possibly compete for an ACC championship. Cam Ward was a really good pickup at quarterback in my opinion. And say what you want about Miami, but they have gotten better every single season with Mario Cristobal. They went 5-7 in 2022, they went 7-5 in 2023, and next season could just be that next step up, which would be a 9 or 10 win season. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see this team win the ACC, and I do have them at number 20. At number 19, I have Oklahoma State. Maybe I have them too low, but most people don't even have Oklahoma State in their top 20, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oklahoma State returns a lot of talent, and they return Ollie Gordon, the best running back in the whole country. And that's honestly enough to rank them at number 19 and consider them a top contender for the Big 12, despite their win total only being at 7.5. I could put them higher, but I have a feeling that they will start a bit lower, so I'm kind of ranking them in the middle of what people would probably have them at, and I have them at 19. At number 18, I have Clemson. A lot of people don't know what to think about this Clemson team anymore, and this team has so much to prove next season. I expect the defense to be good again. They are very deep on defensive talent, but we will need to see the offense take that next step, and it does start with Cade Klubnik at quarterback. Clemson is one of those teams I'm really unsure about, but they have a big game against Georgia that will help us learn more about this team. But right now I think 18 is a perfect spot for them. Not too high and not too low, but they are a top contender for the ACC championship. At number 17, I have Arizona. I was actually very high on Arizona, and I am still pretty high on Arizona. But they still have some question marks because they lost their head coach, and they lost a decent amount of talent to the transfer portal. I do still expect this team to be good, and they should definitely be in the conversation to win the Big 12. And returning Fafita and McMillan is huge for this team, and I can almost guarantee that the offense is going to be good again, with possibly the best quarterback receiver duo in all of college football returning. So I do have Arizona at number 17. But at number 16, I have Tennessee. We saw how good this team could be if they had a great quarterback leading the way back in 2022 when they had Hendon Hooker, and they had the highest scoring offense in the country that year as well. But last season was a bit of a step back, with Joe Milton leading the way at quarterback. But I expect this team to be better on the offensive side in 2024, with Nico Iamaleava at quarterback, along with the offensive talent that they brought in from the portal. Maybe they will not have the highest scoring offense in the country, they probably won't, but I think the offense is good enough to put them at number 16 on this ranking. And if we see great football on both sides of the ball from Tennessee, then this team could be very dangerous, so keep an eye out for Tennessee. But at number 15, I have Oklahoma. I almost ranked Tennessee above Oklahoma because I am personally higher on Tennessee, but Oklahoma had a way better season in 2023, and the defense for Oklahoma returns just about everybody. Similar to Tennessee, Oklahoma has a young quarterback who will lead the way for this team going forward. And that guy is Jackson Arnold, and he is definitely talented. But if we want to see this Oklahoma team be a top contender for the SEC, then we will need to see Jackson Arnold cut back on the mistakes. I don't know how well Oklahoma will fare against SEC competition, but I do think that they will be highly ranked to at least start next season, so I do have them at number 15. At number 14, I have Kansas State. Kansas State has been a top contender of the Big 12 for quite a while now, and Texas and Oklahoma will now be gone, and Kansas State returns basically everyone on defense, and Avery Johnson could really help elevate that offense, so I'm actually very high on Kansas State. I think it might be Kansas State's time to win the Big 12, and I do have them at number 14. But at number 13, I have Florida State. I know they lost a bunch of talent, but I think Mike Norvell is one of the best coaches in college football, and he's done a fantastic job at utilizing the transfer portal and recruiting. Florida State will be good again, and DJU is going to be an interesting addition for this team at quarterback. And I do think Mike Norvell could really help DJU take that next step in 2024. I am definitely pretty high on this Florida State team, and I think this team will be really talented, so I have them at number 13. But at number 12, I have Utah. Utah has everything they need to win the Big 12, just like Kansas State. Utah always has a very good defense under Kyle Whittingham, and Cam Rising will be back at quarterback. I could see this team underperform if Cam Rising is just too rusty and if the offense doesn't get much better. But the sky is still the limit for Utah in 2024, and a lot is going to rely on Cam Rising to play his best football. If there's one player in all of college football to watch during spring football, then you have to keep an eye on Cam Rising. And Utah probably has the highest potential out of all the Big 12 teams, so I do have Utah at number 12. But at number 11, I have LSU. Similar to Utah, the sky is the limit for LSU football, but LSU probably has a bit more potential than Utah. LSU is going to have a good offense again, but they also have one of the best coaching staffs in college football. I do not know if next season will be the breakout year for LSU. I'm thinking LSU is going to be an elite team in 2025 or 2026, and they could honestly probably compete for a national championship by then, and I would not be surprised. I do think they will be good next year, but I do not know if they have the defensive talent to put it all together yet. This team has a very bright future, and I do have them at number 11. And they could be a team that shocks a lot of people and has a breakout season maybe as soon as 2024. Who knows? But we will see. But at number 10, I have Penn State. It feels like nobody even considers this team a top contender for the Big Ten championship anymore because it's the same thing every year. They go 10-2 all the time. But maybe, just maybe, one of these seasons, they put it all together and win the Big Ten. They return a lot and they could be better than Michigan because Michigan loses so much talent. I don't think Penn State will win the Big Ten, but you never know. But they definitely belong in the top 10 because they're always a very good team, so I have them at number 10. But Drew Aller will need to take big strides next season for Penn State if they want to win the Big Ten. At number 9, I have Michigan, and I realistically cannot drop this team any lower. They just won the national championship last season, and they will still be a very talented defensive team. Will Johnson is back in the secondary, and they return some very talented players up front. The defense could still be a top 10 or top 5 caliber defense in the whole country. The offense has a lot of concerns. But let's not forget about Donovan Edwards because he will be returning and he's a beast at running back. People should still watch out for this team because they were very deep on talent last season and they still returned some All-Americans definitely on the defensive side. So I do have Michigan at number 9. But at number 8, I have Missouri. I almost ranked them lower because they lost a decent amount of talent on defense and they lose Cody Schrader at running back. But I expect them to be very good again and they have a very good head coach. And I think that they will keep being a top contender of the SEC. They returned Brady Cook and Luther Burden, so I still expect the offense to be good. They also did a good job in the transfer portal. They also have a very easy schedule, so I have them at number 8. But at number 7, I have Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is usually always overrated to start the season, but I think this team will actually be really good next season. The new offensive coordinator from LSU should really help elevate that offense, and it starts with Riley Leonard. Notre Dame has a young head coach who will just keep learning, and he's a very underrated head coach in my opinion. The coaching staff of this Notre Dame team is really good, and they picked up 3 wide receivers out of the transfer portal, and I expect this offense to be a lot better than it was in 2023. Riley Leonard and Sam Hartman were very similar players last season, but Riley Leonard could also run out of the pocket and work on the ground, and he will only keep getting better with Mike Denbrock helping him develop his game on the offensive side. so we could be a lot better than Sam Hartman was in 2023. So I do have Notre Dame at number 7. And at number 6, I have Ole Miss. The only 2 losses Ole Miss had in 2023 came to Georgia and Alabama. They will lose Quinshon Judkins at running back, but this team has potential to have one of the best passing attacks in the whole country with Jackson Dart and the receiving targets he will have to throw to. This team was already good last season, but I am telling you, imagine if the defense becomes an SEC type of defense. And if the defense takes a step up, you can honestly consider this team a top contender for the SEC championship and even the national championship. Lane Kiffin dominated the transfer portal and he focused on the defensive side. They keep getting better every year with Lane Kiffin as head coach, and this team has a lot of potential heading into 2024. So I have Ole Miss at number 6. And at number 5, I have Alabama. I almost put Alabama lower just because of the talent that they lost and the fact that they lost the greatest head coach of all time, Nick Saban. But hear me out. Kalen DeBoer was just playing in the national championship last season, and this Alabama team is going to be loaded with 5-star talent next season. I know there's all kinds of questions about where this Alabama team will be with Kalen DeBoer, but I do think they belong in the top 5 at least to start next season, because they still have had a top 2 recruiting class just about every season, so I have Alabama at number 5. But at number 4, I have Oregon. Dan Lanning is building something great for this Oregon team, and you could very well make a case for this team to be at number 3, number 2, or even number 1. They return a lot on defense, and the offense is going to be very dangerous with Dylan Gabriel and the receiving room that Oregon has. They are also turning into a really good line of scrimmage team, and they should definitely compete in the Big Ten, so I have Oregon at number 4. But at number 3, I have Texas. And the reason I put Texas above Oregon was because of the fact that they made the playoffs last season and they already beat a top SEC team on the road when they beat Alabama. They return a lot of talent just like Oregon, and they definitely belong in the top 4. They return Quinn Ewers, and he could possibly win the Heisman Trophy for this team next season. This team has a bunch of talent, and Steve Sarkisian is doing great work at Texas. So I do have Texas at number 3. And at number 2, I have Ohio State. Ohio State has a chance to have the best defense in college football next season. They brought back a bunch of NFL talent, and I don't know how they did it. But they also brought in one of the greatest transfer portal classes I have ever seen, on top of having another top recruiting class. This roster is loaded with talent on both sides of the ball, and now they bring in Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, and he is one of the greatest offensive-minded head coaches over the last 20 years. And if Ohio State underperforms expectations again, that would just be embarrassing. Put Ohio State at 1, put Ohio State at 4, it doesn't really matter to me. I think the top 4 teams are obvious to me, and Ohio State definitely belongs in the top 4, but I decided to put Ohio State at number 2. And at number 1, of course, I have Georgia. I know they missed the playoffs last season, but they were a field goal away from making the playoffs and possibly being the first ever FBS team to three-peat in a very long time. I do think Georgia was the most talented team last season, but it didn't necessarily end how they wanted it to. But Kirby Smart is building a dynasty at Georgia, and they will continue to be an elite team for a long time. And this team is going to be loaded with talent just like always, so I think it is only right to have Georgia at number 1. But anyways, that is going to do it for my pre-spring top 25 rankings. You guys let me know what you think I had wrong in this video. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel because we upload daily college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider joining my Discord server down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.